Hey guys, hey guys. Um, with today being Good Friday, I always find myself reflecting upon what Christ did for us on the cross. And it's something I don't take lightly because when you think about it, what he went through with the process of crucifixion, and it's not just being nailed to a cross. Keep in mind, it's being flogged with a cat of nine tails, which literally is a leather whip with thongs that have little pieces of glass, little pieces of bone at the end of each thong, and it wraps around you, and when the person pulls back, it tears flesh right off. He goes through that first. Then a crown of thorns pushed down on his head in mockery. The crowd jeering for his blood. At least some, not all. I want to make that clear. It was mostly the priest that whipped some of the crowd into a frenzy. Let's be clear on that. And then by the time you get to Golgotha, he's lost a great deal of blood already, just from everything up to this point, including carrying his cross, because that's digging into you. And whether it's the cross, some say he may have just carried the crossbeam, some say he may have carried the whole thing. I don't know. Either way, it's digging into you. That's the point. Um, and so you get to the hill, Golgotha, and then you're having nails put through your wrist, not hands, as portraits may show you. Paintings may show you. That's because hands won't support the body. They won't. The wrist, this point of the wrist, I believe it's called the point of discord. Um, Supports the body, and so they would nail you through the wrist. He's nailed through the wrist, and one foot placed over the other foot, and then a nail put through that, so that. And then not only that, when you're on a cross, you have trouble breathing. And the way that you have to breathe is you take a breath, come down on your legs, and then come back up to inhale. Sooner or later, your body gives out of the ability to do that, and you die from asphyxiation. So keep in mind, he's going through all that. The whole time he's thinking about all the sins he's taking on all the sins that the people of the time committed, but also the sins that you and I and everyone who will ever live committed. That's a ginormous amount of sins. And when he says, people look at the scripture where he says, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do, and they think he's just talking about the people there at the time. No, 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 no. He's talking about us as well. And this is the blood atonement sacrifice that has to be made for man to be made right with God. God's own son has to be sacrificed. And he does it willingly. Nobody put him there. It wasn't the Jews. It wasn't the Romans. He did it willingly. Let me make that clear. And in my mind, nothing anyone will ever do, doesn't matter if you're a president, prime minister, whatever, even some of the greatest heroes in history, nothing they will ever do will ever top what Christ did for us on the cross. And the fact that he rose from the grave and conquered death. For in the Gospels, he says that he has the authority over death and the grave. They are subject to him. And when looking at that sacrifice, I ask myself, this is the greatest act of love that has ever been done. And he could have chosen not to do it, but he did it. Because he would rather take all the sins of the world upon himself and suffer as he did than be separated from all of us. Thing is, a lot of us turn our backs, or we take it lightly. We just see it as, we see today and Sunday as a time to get together with family and dress up nice for church and all that kind of stuff. That stuff's nice and all, but it's not the real meaning. The real meaning is we've been saved from hell and the grave by the Son of God, Jesus Christ. And it, for some, I think it's a hard thing to accept, but I'll tell you this, once you do accept it, it's the greatest thing you ever know. And God gives us the choice. He doesn't hold a gun to our head and say, love me or else. He gives us free will. He gives us the choice. But I really ask you, I'm going to ask you to, look at what it says in the Gospels and the Bible, and also look at what the actual process of crucifixion was like. And yeah, if you've seen Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, that shows you somewhat, but even that's only a drop in the bucket to what it was really like. I mean, that's a film. It comes close, but from what I understand, the real event was even worse. So, but because he is risen now and alive forevermore, we have hope. We have hope beyond the grave. That's something not, that is a great comfort to me. And so, I'm just grateful for what happened today, 2,000 years ago. Some people may just look at today as another day. I don't tend to look at Good Friday as just another day. I tend to look at it as one of the most important days in the history of the world, if not the most important day in the history of the world, because it and the resurrection I consider the most important days. Because that was when we were made right with God. And so, yeah, I hope you all have a happy resurrection weekend, and I will Talk to you soon. God bless.